So I can't talk about every single pick that I liked in round 2 and round 3 on day 2, but I liked a lot of them. I really did. We're going to talk about 5, 6, maybe even 7 of my favorite picks from day 2. The Raiders rebounded. I think the Browns took advantage like they did in round 1 of a player just falling into their lap. I think Washington football team did pretty well to grab Sam Cosmi. He's not going to be in this video. As you can see, somebody else will be. But let's talk about some of my favorite picks from day 2. Some of the best picks based on the value for the player and based on the team/scheme fit. So hit that subscribe button if you're new. More draft content to come, especially after the complete draft is ended. I will be live on Twitch tomorrow, twitch.tv/Bengal. Link is in the description. More info on my Twitter, also linked down in the description below. Twitter.com/Bengal YouTube. Let's go ahead and talk about some of my favorite picks from day 2. First, we're going to talk about Tevin Jenkins. He fell into the Bears' lap. Round 2, pick 39. Gotta love it from Chicago. Apparently, he did fall due to injury concerns that weren't really heavily reported before the draft that we really couldn't have known about. But Tevin Jenkins was exceptional value for the Bears as a player here at 39. Plug-and-play future franchise right tackle for the Bears. I like Charles Leno at left tackle. I don't love him, but I like him. So I think that right tackle was the biggest need for the Bears coming into the draft, period. Beyond quarterback, they made an awesome move, in my opinion, with the Giants to move up to number 11, get Justin Fields, and what do you have to do? You have to protect him for the future, and you also give a mauling right tackle for David Montgomery to run behind for the future. I love the pick for the Bears. He's too good of a player to fall all the way to 39. The Bears did a really, really good job to fill a huge need on their team at right tackle with a falling star, potentially in Tevin Jenkins at right tackle. I think the Raiders also did a really good job to rebound today. They got a couple good players in the draft. They really went all in on defense in day 2. And Trayvon Maric was the best of the bunch. Arguably the best safety in the class. I think he's the best safety in the class. Best pure safety. And he's a really, really good player. Versatile as well. And the Raiders really needed to improve the back end of their secondary at safety. And they did that in a huge way in Trayvon Maric that can play over the top and can come up into the box. They re-signed Carl Joseph. He's a box guy. Maric can play a more traditional coverage role over the top in the Raiders defense. I think this was a perfect fit. A perfect team need for the Raiders, and they didn't hesitate. They moved up with San Francisco to 43 and got Trayvon Maric, who's falling due to injury concerns. Same kind of thing with Tevin Jenkins after an MRI revealed that Trayvon Maric maybe had some more stuff going on in his back, I believe it was. But either way, he fell to the spot. And if the Raiders took him at 17, I don't think anyone says anything. And Alex Leatherwood at this spot, I don't think anyone says anything negatively. But the fact that he took Leatherwood, big reach, and then Maric, big steal, it kind of cancels out. I don't mind this draft for the Raiders. You just got to ignore the order that they picked these players in. I think you'll be fine. I think this pick was impossible not to like for the Giants. Even if Azeez Oladipo doesn't pan out, you got a really, really good player at number 50 overall. Oladipo is a guy that could have gone in the first, dropped due to a potential knee injury that we were hearing about. But Azeez Oladipo is a really good player, and he's also a really good fit for the Giants attacking 3-4 at outside linebacker. He was one of the better edge rushers in the entire class. I had him as edge 3, and the fact that he fell to 50, I love the fact that the Giants pulled the trigger and got a really, really good player after moving down, picking up an extra third in the process. So I love the Giants draft so far as a Giants fan, but Azeez Oladipo was a big-time steal at 50. This was awesome. Speaking of big-time steals at the linebacker position, even though Azeez Oladipo and JOK are two very different types of linebackers, the Browns did a really, really great job to snag Jeremiah Usukuramoa. He was a guy who, I don't really know why he's falling. We didn't hear about anything injury-related. The only thing I can think of is that the league was a little bit unsure of where they could play Jeremiah Usukuramoa, whether he's a safety, maybe he's not fast enough to play safety, whether he's a linebacker, maybe he's not big enough to play linebacker, but I think he's going to a perfect team. The Browns really did need linebacker, and I'm not sure that Jeremiah Usukuramoa, completely solves their linebacker issues, but if you play him at weak side linebacker, I know they don't really run a base 4-3 defense, even though it's more that than a 34 defense. JOK is a really overall good player. I don't want to say he's a great fit because I don't know how the Browns are going to use him just yet, but I think he was way too good of a player to fall all the way to number 54 here in the second round. I like him as an overhang defender best, where you can play him in a hybrid safety linebacker nickel type role where he's playing in the overhang slot and he can, hang with tight ends, hang with slot receivers, play the run from that spot. I think he's just your guy that you can sub into whatever type of role that you need him to play. So think the same way that Isaiah Simmons was thought of last year as a guy that can kind of do it all. Jeremiah Usukuramoa can kind of do it all. He's not the freak athlete that Isaiah Simmons was, and he doesn't have the size that Isaiah Simmons does. But if Jeremiah Usukuramoa is bigger and stronger with that speed, you know, he's thought of as a top 10 player. The fact that Jeremiah Usukuramoa falls to 52 is unbelievable. Love him as a player. He's number 14 on my big board. I think he's phenomenal, but it just depends how teams are going to use him. I think that's why he falls. The Browns got a steal. They did great to snag Greg Newsome, who was falling to number 26 overall. Didn't overthink it. Took the best player available, and especially at a team need. Now in round 2, they take the best player available, one that just completely fell off the map. JOK at this spot at number 52 overall was fantastic. Another guy that was falling a little bit was Creed Humphrey out of Oklahoma. He's arguably the best true center in the class. I think Landon Dickerson could be really good as a guard. He's not a true center in that way, as he's only a center. I think Landon Dickerson's really, really good overall. I think he's the best interior offensive lineman in the class, talent-wise. But Creed Humphrey doesn't have the injury question marks. He's not the biggest center in the world. He's not the most athletic center in the world, but he does have a wrestling background, and that leverage really shows up on tape. He's a guy that can anchor down against some of these nose tackles, and it's really, really impressive. He's extremely smart, and he looks like a future franchise center. I think in the same way that Lloyd Cushenberry fell down the board a little bit last year because he is a center, and I think teams don't value the center position all that much anymore. I think this is a similar situation. Creed Humphrey's a better player than Lloyd Cushenberry was coming out, but it's the same way that this can be a franchise center for a team. And the fact that the Chiefs got him, this is a really, really good fit. At the back end of the second round, this is just exceptional value. The Chiefs got such a good player. And another team that got a great player was the New Orleans Saints. They got Paulson Dibo, round 3, pick 76. He lasted all the way to this spot. And the Saints that didn't address cornerback all the way until number 76 get a really, really good corner and a fantastic fit for their defense. Yeah, you have Marshawn Lattimore on one side. There was nothing on the other. And when you take one of the best zone corners in the entire class, perfect fit into the Saints defense, how do you want anything more as a Saints fan? Yeah, you can say, oh, I don't know who Peyton Turner is. He was a trash pick in the first round, which I disagree with. And you can say, oh, man, round 2 came and went. We still didn't take a cornerback, even though we really needed corner. I think Pete Werner was an underrated pick for the Saints as well as a true potential Mike linebacker and a really good football player for the Saints, even though he's not an amazing athlete. Really good player. The fact that you got Paulson Adebo this far down the board as a perfect plug-and-play fit to the defense with the exact kind of zone instincts you need in the New Orleans Saints defense, this was just unbelievable. I think the Saints draft has been underrated so far, and you're going to be happy to get a player like this all the way down the board that does have starter potential within the first couple years. This is just fantastic by the Saints. I keep using the word fantastic, but I think all these picks were really, really good. While looking for a Dyami Brown picture to use in this video, I saw this tweet. Another great pick for Washington. Dyami Brown was a round 2 receiver. He's capable of being a Dibo Samuel type receiver. Very good yard after catch ability. And wow, if that's not the worst comp I've ever seen, I don't know what is. I've seen some more from this account. This is really, really bad. Dyami Brown is a big-time deep threat who isn't particularly amazing after the catch and doesn't play that strong at all. Oh, man. Dyami Brown would go to Washington football team at number 82 overall in the 3rd round. And wow, it's hard to think of a better player team fit than this one. I think with Terry McLaurin on one side, the ultimate deep threat in football right now, or one of them, right? I'm not saying he's a bigger deep threat than Tyreek Hill. I'm just saying, you know, one of the premier deep threats in the league. And you bring in Curtis Samuel, who is elite after the catch. You can use him in a number of different ways, especially underneath. He could be a gadget player, even. He played a gadget-type role in Carolina at times. But Dyami Brown on the other side as another true deep threat that can just torch over the top. You have Ryan Fitzpatrick, a quarterback that loves to just air it out and go crazy. This is a wonderful, wonderful pick by Washington football team. I'm a big Dyami Brown fan myself. I recognize the fact that his route tree wasn't overly complex, but it doesn't have to be, in the same way that DK Metcalf doesn't need to run an overly complicated route tree with, you know, all these different in and out breaking routes. Dyami Brown can run curls, comebacks, and goes. He's really, really good with a move I like to call the half step. Didn't invent that term, but I like it. It's a stutter when running where you kind of pretend to take a step and accelerate. It's very subtle and it's very, very effective, and it allows him to just re-accelerate and torch CBs over the top that stop for that microsecond, and he's already gone. So I think he does bring a little bit of route polish to the route tree that he does run. I'm a huge Dyami Brown fan, and the fact that he's going to a team that is going to air out the football, even if only with Ryan Fitzpatrick right away, this is a very, very fun team player fit. I love this for Washington football team. Even though I'm a Giants fan, it's sad, but I think Washington football team did really, really well here. And it seems like the rich get richer. The Patriots took a shot at Christian Barmore early in the second round, and then they got a really, really high floor player that isn't Christian Barmore. And what I mean by that is Christian Barmore isn't this guy that's absolutely going to be a stud right away. He's a guy that you're projecting to be really, really good. Ronnie Perkins is a guy that is a solid player right away, even if he never becomes an elite player. I think Ronnie Perkins is, although undersized, I think he's a really good run defender. And I think he offers elite pass rush, at least did at Oklahoma. He doesn't offer elite pass rush right away in the NFL, don't get me wrong, but he can be a very solid plus pass rusher right away in the NFL. He already has solid skills. He's a good athlete, but most of all, he plays with an extremely high motor, and he is, I want to say he plays bigger than his size. I don't want to keep going to the undersized thing, because that's not fair to Ronnie Perkins, because he does play bigger, but that's why he fell, I think, is because he is undersized for the position. Teams don't know if they're going to play him as a 4-3 defensive end, if he's going to fit into a 3-4 as an outside linebacker. Is he athletic to do that? Is he big enough to play that 4-3 end spot? So I think there was a little bit of hesitation. Maybe we'll take a player that we know is going to fit our team. So Ronnie Perkins slides, and he slides some more. But the Patriots got a really solid player that I think is going to be a good fit on the other side of Chase Winovich for years to come. Maybe not going to start right away, but I think he has the ability to. I think Ronnie Perkins is a high floor player, meaning he's going to be solid right away. So I think the Patriots did very, very well. I think at the end of the third round, Ronnie Perkins is a stud pick. So shout out to the Patriots for that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. These are some of my favorite picks from day 2. I have, what is this? I have 8. So not too bad. There were some other picks I liked for sure, and I'll be talking about those in depth when I rank every single team's total draft. So make sure to look out for that video. There are probably some videos you missed on this channel already, because I've uploaded so many that YouTube stopped sending out notifications, but make sure to check them out. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
It's insane, I hit it at the park, bend bones. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah, promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah, Papa turn, taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speed burst good.